So in this one, as promised on Sunday, we are going to be talking about how a success doesn't change us. It just reveals who we were to begin with. It does sometimes change our friends and family members. It does sometimes change the dynamic of our relationship. And to begin the video, I'm going to be sharing 2 mini story time from my own personal life, and then we are going to be talking some more about celebrities, etc, etc. So a couple of months ago, actually it was maybe a year and a half ago, I purchased a face cream. It wasn't the most expensive face cream. It was around 70 bucks, I believe. I will leave you choose or decide whether 70 bucks is expensive or not for a face cream. So I had it around my house, and this friend, to be honest, she's more of a good acquaintance, she came to visit and she saw the cream and she was like, oh my god, I heard a lot about this cream on TikTok. I heard it's really good. And I'm like, yeah girl, I heard about it on TikTok too. So I purchased it on Amazon, and she was like, give it to me. And that wasn't the first time that this particular person had expressed entitlement around something that belonged to me. You know, it was a recurring thing with her, and I was like, no, like this time around I was going to hold my ground, because in the past I did give in, but this time around I was like, no, I can't give you this, girl. I want it. And I told her like, yeah, you can buy your own. And she said something that I always knew to be true, that, well, you know, it's gonna cost you less to give it to me. Like, you can repurchase it without it doing even a dent to your bank account. And I was just thinking, you don't know that. Like, you know what's crazy about people who feel entitled to your stuff is that they're actually basing it on mere assumption. They believe you have all this money for whatever reason, and they don't know that to be true. Like, they've never seen your bank account statement, but just because of the way you look and carry yourself and maybe the things they see you buy and do, they believe you have all this money. But so long story short, I had my ground and I said, no girl, I'm not giving you this thing. And you know, we left it at that. And another time I had lent quite a bit of money to somebody, around $3,000, and they didn't return it at the date which they say they would. So I had to ask them about it, and they said, oh, I can't believe you're asking me about it. Like, oh, you have so much. And I'm like, say what? Like, who has money to the point where they don't miss $3,000? Like, I mean, unless you're Beyonce or somebody, a multi-millionaire who is very, very rich, $3,000 is gonna make a difference in your bank account. But even if it doesn't, if you wanted it as a gift, why didn't you say that? I'm really bothered about how sometimes people borrow money from us and they actually want it as a gift, which I think it's crazy. If you wanted it as a gift, you should have said that to begin with, and then I could have decided whether I wanted to give you that money. Of course, not $3,000. I'm never giving that to anybody. But if it was $300 or whatever, maybe. But you cannot ask something to somebody as a loan and then be upset at them asking about it back. Like, that's crazy. Like, if you ask about it as a loan, then you have to return it regardless of how much you believe that person has. Like, we ended up falling out with that person, and we actually no longer talk to each other. Like I told her, she bought our friendship for $3,000, which, you know, it's fine, it's her prerogative. But yeah, so I guess another thing we can learn from this, which is not, of course, what the video is about, is that never lend money people you can afford to lose, because every time you lend money to somebody, they are lending it or borrowing it from you with the thought that they're expecting some money from somebody else or from someplace else, right? So when they tell you, I'm going to give it to you in August, it's because they're expecting their salary in August, or they're expecting somebody to give them something in August. And if that does not happen, you're not getting your money. So if it's your rent money, you're in deep-ish, okay, remember that. But yeah, money often changes, you know, the dynamics of our relationship and friendship with our family members. Obviously, if somebody was staying in your couch before, and you know, maybe you derive some sense of esteem from being better than them, maybe you often told yourself subconsciously, yeah, my life is going bad, but not as bad as XYZ, who life is going so terrible that they have to stay on my couch. Well, if now they have all this money, if from one day to another they become a gazillionaire, obviously there may be a lot of tension in the friendship, you know, due to the fact that now the tables have turned, and maybe you become resentful of, you know, their success and the amount of money that they have now. Because let's be real, you know, a lot of us can be envious of other people's success, of their money. I would venture to say it's a normal human emotion, as long as you understand that the resentment that you feel and the frustration that you feel is not towards that person, it's actually towards yourself. You're mad at yourself that you didn't put in the same amount of work that they had put in order to make their dream come true. You're mad at yourself that you didn't believe in yourself relentlessly like they did. You're mad at yourself that you didn't pursue your goals, your dreams, your aspirations relentlessly. You're mad at yourself that you didn't have the discipline to pursue, let's say, weight loss or something, which is a form of success, right? You're mad at yourself that you didn't have the discipline to pursue, you know, to put the fork down, right? You didn't have the discipline to exercise even when you didn't feel like it, right? And now you want to be mad at this person because, you know, they have result and you don't, when really you should be mad, or the person you're really mad at deep down inside is yourself, right? Because when you see Kelly Rowland with that amazing body, you can always other her. You can say, oh yeah, she's in shape because she has a private chef, she's in shape because she has a private trainer or whatever. But you can't say that about your friend or your sister or your cousin, because you know for a fact that they don't have that PT, because you know for a fact that they don't have that personal chef or cook. But you know, this video is about money or financial success. So let's get back into it. Y'all know I have ADHD, sorry. But yeah, we have seen this even with celebrities like a soccer player Adebayor, whose mother wanted him to give her $100,000 or euros a month, okay? And that was after he bought her house. That was after he bought her cars. That was after he was giving her, I read an interview, 10,000 every single month. She didn't want that. She wanted 100K. Okay, we've seen how Pogba, French soccer star, superstar Paul Pogba, right, how his own brothers together with his mom actually even plotted against his life, right? They went to voodoo or juju or whatever in order, I don't know, for him to pass so that they could get the money. I don't know. The whole situation was very, very complicated. There was some form of blackmail going on. Like, the whole situation was crazy. And again, that was after he was supporting them financially and has given them so much. You know, the bitter truth is that a lot of the time when we come into some money, when we experience an exponential amount of success, some of our friends and family members, they feel entitled to that. They feel resentful of that. Like, it doesn't matter how much you give them. What they would really want is be you. What they want is to live the exact same lifestyle than the one you are living, which is impossible, right? They want to fly private like you do. They want to live in a house of the same standing than the one you live in. They want to drive a car as expensive as the ones that you drive. But that's impossible, because oftentimes, especially when it comes to us Black people, only one person or very few people make it in a family. Obviously that is changing, and I love that for us, but for the longest time it was like that. And then the financial burden is on that person in order to provide for the whole entire family, sometimes even for the community. Think of Tupac Shakur, who actually even provided for, you know, people who were just around in the hood, right? And those same people ended up actually plotting successfully, may I add, unfortunately, against his life, right? You cannot fly private every time that your successful daughter or sister or cousin flies private. Like, it's not like that. It cannot happen like that. You know, if you have any ounce of financial literacy, you know that if they were to offer the same lifestyle that they are living to everybody that they know, they would go broke, right? Like, of course, you can take your mom flying private one time, or your friend or whatever, or a couple of times when you get the money, right? Maybe you can buy them a house, maybe you can buy them a car, but they are not going to be able to live the exact same lifestyle that you do every single day, again, because probably they're not the only financial responsibility that you have, or liability, which is really what they are, these people. And then you're going to end up being broke. But that is unfortunately the sad reality for many of us. You know, I have found myself finding a tremendous amount of newfound empathy for multi-millionaires, right? Like, in my younger years, up until age 26, 27, I felt no kind of way about it. Soccer players, who cares? They can literally wipe their teeth with their money, right? When I would see them lose a game and cry about it, I'm like, oh, please, okay, just get you a $500 note and then you can literally wipe your teeth with it, right? But as I've gotten older, I have understood, you know, that It's actually not like that. You know, at the end of the day, very, very wealthy people, Oprah Winfrey, etc., etc., they're human beings, you know, with childhood trauma. We know her story, Oprah's story, right? And you know, they're just human beings, and you know, having a ridiculous amount of money doesn't actually exempt you from life difficulties. I think life is fair in the sense that it's unfair to everybody. It's fair in the sense that every living, breathing human being, no matter how fortunate they are financially, are actually going to experience their fair share of hardship. You know, we know that gazillionaire Cristiano Ronaldo actually lost a child. I mean, what hardship in life can be, you know, harder, no pun intended, than losing your child, your flesh and blood? So these people, they're just human beings. They're going through a lot as well, so we should keep that in mind. At the end of the day, they work really hard to get where they are, and a lot of the time without support, right? It'd be crazy that the same people who didn't support you, right, are the same people who come back and feel entitled to your age. Let's do better collectively. You know, entitlement is really has an ugly head, right? I'm so grateful I'm not an entitled person. You know, as a child, my mom, she just wouldn't let that fly, right? If that woman gave you something and you didn't say thank you, she would snatch it back, okay? And as a child, I hated it. On some days, I actually even wondered whether this was my biological mother. But today, I'm so grateful for it because I don't have a single bone of entitlement in my body, okay? I don't feel entitled to anything, you know, whether it's preferential treatment or things that people have. I believe if I want something, I have to work for it or find another way to get it, but I don't feel entitled to the stuff people have, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, let me know what you think about everything that I told you in the comment section down below. Have you been at the receiving end of friends and family members being entitled to what you have, or have you yourself, you know, sometimes felt some envy or jealousy towards something that somebody has, which again is a normal human emotion as long as, you know, you don't take it too far. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to be posting every single day except for Wednesdays and Mondays. So I'm going to be posting during weekdays, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to be posting Saturday and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in for all of those videos. We're going to be talking about beauty, money, and everything else in between, celebrity gossip. So tune in. It's gonna be fun and funny, okay, as my videos always are. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well, or maybe I say that already. Bye guys, thanks for watching. Mwah.